Welcome back to CueBall's Bearded Rambles. Now, today I have a very, very special guest. So let's get on with the introduction. So he is best known for wrestling in the 80s and 90s. He was the predominant holder of the Mount Evans World Mid Heavyweight title. And he is the official 7-time World Professional Wrestling Champion. And now he is the head trainer of the stars, past, present, and future. Punters, I give you the one, the only British wrestling legend, Marty Jones. And with the power of editing, Marty, you get the pyrotechnics. Bang, there we go. So, how are we doing, Marty? We all good? All good?
Not too bad, thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction, and it's a pleasure to speak to you.
Pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've had a bad couple of years, to be honest, but I don't think a lot of people want to know about that. But it's all wrestling related. I ended up having I needed an ankle fusion.
Yeah.
That means there was a gap in my ankle, you know.
Right.
And then before they did it, I went down to the operating theatre, and the surgeon said, "Look, I've not done your ankle on your right leg. I've done your left knee."
Yeah.
I thought, well, thank you. Why? What's up with my left knee? He said it's in bits, and this delicate operation, you'd be putting a lot of weight on your right ankle, and it's like porcelain. It's like he was frightened it was going to shatter.
Yeah.
And my knee would have got eventually anyway, so he did it. And it was great for 14 months. Then me and Johnny Sate went over to Ireland to do a seminar. I just couldn't get out of the car. No pain, nothing. But I got infection in my knee.
Oh, man.
So the infection was that high. They whipped it out, put another knee. That didn't work. So they took that out, put another one. So I've had 3 new knees. And over the period of time, infection keeps coming back every 14, 16 months. Anyway, I had the ankle fusion. And because it's been 3 years, the gap was only a small gap. Very quickly now it went to a massive gap.
Yeah.
And I've ended up with 13 screws in my ankle.
Really?
And it's never, ever been right. Oh. So only 2 months ago, with putting a lot of pressure on my leg, the infection came back again.
Yeah.
So not only was I dealing with my right ankle, I had the left knee. And I've been in hospital for 8 weeks now. And I've been out for 3. And they've told me if the infection comes back again, I may be having my leg off because there's nothing else they can do. So I'm on water all the time. I'm on these really strong antibiotics. I've not had a drink now for 9 weeks, which has been good in one respect. I've lost 1.5 stone in weight, but
well done. Being
on your own though and drinking that, I don't drink lager anyway. I like my real ales, you know.
Oh yes, I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
And then I was having a bit of whiskey at night. I don't like whiskey.
Yeah.
But I was having a pint pot with a double measure of whiskey and then filling it up with iced Coke, and it was making me sleep. And I got a bit hooked on that.
Yeah.
But no, I've got an automatic car, and to be honest, I hobble down to the car in my crutches, get in, and then I go down to the gym, the Squared Circle Academy that I'm proud of, and I'm bringing a lot of young talent through.
Yes.
And it gets me out of the house. But apart from that, people don't realise, Jack, that I protect this business 110%. I've always been a wrestler. Yeah. And I started wrestling when I was 6 years of age. Well, I'm 67 now. So I've been wrestling 61 years.
Yeah, I remember you saying when we had that phone call.
Yeah, and when I went to Japan, you know, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about wrestling. I've been there and done it. If you think it's a joke, fair enough. That's their opinion. But when you've got Tiger Mask, Inoki, Fujinami, Fujiwara, and you're under the Giants tag partner and they're knocking shit out of you, it hurts. But you can knock the shit out of them. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So the rest of it's history, and I just I just miss getting out, if you know what I mean. But I'm on the right track anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, with these antibiotics you're on, it would sort your knee out. Is there any particular reason why, if they said why you keep getting infections? Is it, I assume it's because your body's trying to fight an unknown?
Well, no, it's a true fact. Some people are very lucky. I mean, I didn't know how can you get infection if you've never broke your skin, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But apparently, when you start having metalwork in your body, and all our family, my son, my dad, who's passed away, but we all had a bit of circulation problems in the legs, you know.
Okay.
But they thought you had diabetes or you're quite heavy, but no, I've been checked for everything. But apparently this so-called bug, it lives on the metalwork, it lies dormant, and then all of a sudden it explodes, you know.
Okay.
But when you've been at this particular time, when we just had lockdown, and you couldn't go anywhere, and then I went in hospital, and they put me on a dementia ward, even though I should have been on a fracture clinic, and that was horrendous. And that taught me a lot in life, which I've always valued the things. Like when I went the first trip abroad, I was like one of the first ever to go to Mexico.
Yeah.
But the poverty there was terrible. But they treated us like superstars, you know. It's like a lot of the youth today and people, they whinge and moan and all that. I always look at life, it could be a lot worse.
Yes, I'm with you.
And when you're in that dementia ward and you try to have your dinner and there's people out of it, you know, and doing whatever they're doing up the walls, and them nurses working so hard, and you just lay there because there's nothing you can do apart from have an intravenous drip.
Yeah.
They're under such, you know, and then when you come out, I'm thinking, well, I've got my flat, got my own apartment, got my TV. I can do what I want. I'll sit here with no clothes on if I want. Nobody's bothering me. But getting out is a bit, you know.
Yeah, I think this coronavirus lockdown situation is really, especially myself, it's made me appreciate the fact how much freedom we actually had, and you know we didn't appreciate seeing people as such, but now you come to realize
we took things for granted. You know what I mean?
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Marty, shall we get into the questions?
Yeah.
So, Marty Jones, for the dozens and dozens, that's the cheesy bit, watching at home and listening, how and why did you get into wrestling at the age of 6 years old?
Well, I had a bit of an accident when I was a kid. I was on a three-wheeler bike, and there's a bit of a hill, and the rain had washed a bit of a channel away, and the front wheel went in it, and I went into like a garden wall. And in the garden wall is what they call a tyre wire. You've probably seen them. It's like when the builders in the old days used to build walls, they used to have like a metal dicky boat shaped thing.
Yeah.
And they used to put it on top of the bricks to line the bricks up so they laid straight.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a piece of wire in my eye. Ooh. And my dad, who was in the building game, he had enough sense to cut the wire and take me to hospital with this wire in my eye. And then he fought to save my eye. And not a lot of people know that. Since I've been doing my podcast, I'm actually blind in one eye.
Okay.
But he saved the eye.
Yeah.
I can see black and white, say.
Yeah.
But when I get tired, my eye goes in the corner. I don't actually need glasses, but it's just for driving. And one eye's like 200%, the other eye's knackered.
Okay, yeah.
I used to go to school, and I wasn't the brightest spark at school, but I loved sports.
Yeah.
And I was there, and then they used to start calling you like Clarence or Specky or the Milky Bar Kid.
Okay.
And I just lost my temper, basically. And I used to start fighting. And I was one of them kids where my parents sent me to school. I never had a day off. I used to get a certificate every year, perfect attendance.
Oh, wow.
Because that was the rules of the house, you know. Because my mum and dad worked all hours. My mum was an hairdresser. My dad was a plumber cum builder. So they was out all day anyway. Anyway, my mum's friend, she was an hairdresser, and her friend was somebody called Esther Robinson. And she had an hairdresser's shop a couple of miles down the road.
Right.
And the story's short and sweet. Esther was Billy Robinson, the great Billy Robinson, mother.
Okay.
And then my dad got involved. They knew each other. And Billy said, fetch Marty to the gym.
Yeah.
So I went down to Billy Robinson's wrestling school. Now, Billy Robinson, all these myths, people say he trained under Billy Robinson. I'm telling you the true fact here. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody tells a few fibs now and again. But Billy Robinson, if you ever mention professional wrestling in his gym, he'd just throw you out.
Okay.
He did the catch as cats can. He did the amateur wrestling.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So he taught me along with Johnny Saint.
Yeah.
Because Johnny went there doing wrestling and boxing. And Jack Robinson, who was Billy Robinson's cousin, and he taught us how to do amateur wrestling on the mats.
Yeah.
And if I say it myself, I was quite successful. So much so I went through until I was 16, 17. And it was all right coming back with these little medals. And when I won the British Championship, I thought, I want to be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a load of shit.
Okay.
Because I'd done the genuine, legit stuff. And I
Yeah.
saw, like Jackie Pallo and Mick McManus and Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, Nagasaki, all them household names.
Yeah.
And I fancied a piece of that.
Yeah.
So there wasn't gyms on every street corner and academies like there is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one at Wrighton Stadium, which was Bolton. And there's a lot of the old timers went there and a lot of good wrestlers. And I went there. I used to get there and go on the bus. And they took me under the wing because in them days, and like in Japan and places like that, when you went back to the 70s, you can't just turn up at these wrestling gyms. You've got to prove your worth.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like in Japan, I've told the tale before, it was heartbreaking. You thought it was like a Japanese concentration camp when I first went.
Yeah.
He said, you used to get guys, it didn't matter how they looked, they had to stand there and they drew round the feet with some chalk and they'd have an old timer there with a clicker. And they'd ask you to go to the toilet. You can stop and you've got a bottle of water at the side of you, but you cannot move your feet out of this where they've drawn up. And you had to do 1,000 squats. 1,000, not 10 or 50, 1,000 squats. And if you did 1,000 squats, then you was invited back to the gym. If you didn't do 1,000 squats, come back when you can do it.
Yeah.
Like now, the open wrestling school, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, half the trainers haven't done anything.
Right.
And this is what I urge all these young lads and girls. You've got to vet the instructor first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some of them are playing at it, I'm telling you.
No, I agree.
A lot of them have no insurance. A lot of them haven't got this and they haven't got that.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, the thing is, I was very fortunate. After 6 months, I got asked to go to Mexico. And I only think that's because, oh, this kid's good. He was a British amateur champion and he's from Billy Robinson's gym. Because Billy Robinson, I don't know whether you know about him, but Billy Robinson was one of the greatest wrestlers, you know.
Yeah, I have heard the name, yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's because, but in them days, you had the German tournaments. We used to wrestle. Nobody will believe me when I say this. Like a top line professional wrestler can possibly wrestle 2 or 3 times a week over here. Then he'll have a break for a week. We used to wrestle, even with Butlins camps, where it was a great place to learn wrestling.
Yeah.
You could wrestle at least 10 times a week sometimes.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Very nice.
And that was none of this, you know, just travelling up and down in your car. It was a full-time job.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could wrestle twice in a day at the holiday camp.
Yeah.
Then go all the way down to London the next day, you'd be at Scotland. And when you try and keep a job as well, and then when you went to the German tournaments, you'd be there for 10 days. And then I was fortunate, Mil Mascaras was there and he said, would you like to come to Mexico? And yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll go to Mexico. Next thing is he's asking, do I want to go to Mexico? And I said, yeah. So I went to Mexico, and then from Mexico I came back, and then I got my first trip to Japan. And I liked it so much there. I did my style of wrestling then.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people know this, but on my third trip there, they put me with Andre the Giant. In other words, I was his partner doing all the work.
Yeah.
But we was
great.
wrestling to like 20, 30, 40,000 stadiums with Andre the Giant on with Inoki. That's the guy who went on with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Wow.
But there were awesome days then. It was my style. There's a few matches on YouTube. And, you know, we did kick shit out of each other. Then nearer home, I started getting a bit of chemistry with Rollerball Rocco and Finley.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, what people don't realise, we're surviving at the moment. Forget the lockdown. It's either going to go right through the roof and it's going to be good, or people haven't got any money, or they're frightened of going out for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's in the lap of the gods. But in them days, if you'd have had a good match on television with, say, Rocco, Finley, Regal, whoever, then they see it in the newspaper that it's on at their local hall. Hey, remember that wrestling that you saw Marty Jones and Rocco? They're on down the road. That TV at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was 50 million viewers. It used to draw more than the cup final.
Easy. It's crazy how massive like wrestling used to be.
And going back to the old days, everybody got the coupon. The littlest coupon to see whether they'd won £1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But they always watched the wrestling. And there weren't all these pyrotechnics and this, that, and the other, and boom lenses and all. They had just had one. They had 2 cameras and that were it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they had the household names and blah, blah, blah. And this is what I like about the modern day wrestling. I can see a lot of faults in it. And so these people who watch wrestling, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody slaps a leg in my gym, I tell them to go home.
I've never understood it myself either, to be honest.
Yeah, because I just don't get it. But anyway, that's my way. Everybody does their ways.
Yeah, of course.
But NXT UK, for me, is a really good brand. They're trying to depict 2 people having a fight. Yeah. NXT's all right. Raw and SmackDown, I get it. But it's too many celebrities coming in. And I get that as well. I mean, that last WrestleMania, you know, you can't take it away from them. They're doing something right. A VIP ticket was $2,500.
I know.
You know what I mean? Sold out first. So, I don't know. And that's the mystery about professional wrestling.
Yeah. Yes, I would say
they don't hurt. They don't get hurt. Even the surgeon who took my stitches out, I believe you're a wrestler. Because I was in my local hospital and there was people in there that knew me.
Yeah.
Which was a surprise because it's people from I only live 2 miles from the hospital.
Right.
But it was people in there that I knew that I used to see on the streets.
Yeah.
And they tell them, or they know that I was a wrestler. And then this Asian guy came to take my staples out. I believe you're a wrestler, innit? I said, yeah. That wrestling's a joke, innit? I'm saying, yeah. I just didn't want to argue, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't get hurt, do they? And I looked at him.
Yeah, that's a massive insult.
I went, no, they don't get hurt. Can you just get on with your job and then, you know. Well, that's the way it is. It's like many times. People, I agree with them now. And then he'll turn around, that professional wrestling's all fixed, innit? I said, what's your opinion? He said, yeah, it is. I said, all right, it is. So is it all fixed then? I said, yeah, it is. Is it?
So
why you just said it is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's the mystery about our job. People can be seen on television, have a great match. 5 minutes later, they can seize up, shoulder can pop out. Yeah. That's the beauty about our job. It's like I've always said this. Have you any CueBall? Have you got any grandchildren?
No, not quite yet. I'm not that old yet. I have children myself.
Right. How old's your youngest then?
The youngest is 6.
They're at that age now. You say to them, there's no Father Christmas.
Yeah.
Do they believe you?
Well, I've never really actually said that to her, to be honest.
But what I'm trying to say is,
yeah. But she
doesn't
does
matter.
believe. She does believe in Father Christmas. Yeah.
But there is no Father Christmas.
No.
But you tell my grandchildren there's no Father Christmas. That's a mystery about wrestling.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Do they? Why has he got a mask on? Has he been burned? Why is it? There's always whys and ifs and buts.
Yeah.
And you buy your ticket, and if you enjoy what you see, they'll come back again. That's how I look at it. But like I said, NXT UK, we've got Johnny Moss, we've got Robbie Brookside, we've got James Mason, we've got Johnny Saint, we've got the list is endless. William Regal's at the top.
Yeah.
They're all British.
Yeah.
So we must be doing something right.
Must be, yeah, definitely.
And the girls at the moment are better than the guys.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal to see how far the this wrestling has come. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to see.
But I've just signed up to do 5 wrestling shows today. Now I only go in. I do what we call trainee shows. In other words, I get a ring up, and then I'll do a seminar for 4 hours. Then use that talent on at the night. I'd love to get the big halls.
Yeah.
But I haven't financially got that to take a gamble.
Yeah.
So if I get 100, 150 people in for a trainee show, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my ambition this time is to do 1 or 2 around the area and then get some talent, big talent from abroad to do a big show. But I've just heard a load of rules that we've got to stick by. And you're going to laugh at this, CueBall. You're not allowed to G the crowd up anymore. You're not allowed to clap, get them clapping, because it spreads this Cronus disease. I've never had super in my life.
Oh, man.
But even on the holiday camps and things like that, they're restricting it to 30, 50 people or a 30 capacity.
Yeah.
But there's no audience allowed in. It's only for the people that bought caravans, the owners of the caravans, you know.
Yeah,
the rules are, and there's all this Indian thing coming.
Yeah.
We don't actually know what's going to happen. So it could be another. I've got a daughter in Australia, and I was over there this time last year. And the upsetting thing is she's had a baby since. My grandson is beautiful. He's massive. He's a big lad.
Yeah.
He's only like 8. No, he's 9 months, 10 months old now, and he's in 1-year-old clothes, if you know what I mean. He's going to be a big lad.
Yeah, definitely.
And the thing is, he's got my looks. He's so good looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I haven't seen him. So I've been inquiring about flights. And they've just told me, because Australia's dead strict.
Yeah.
They're thinking of banning all flights in and out of Australia until next year.
Oh, damn. That's not good.
All them relatives.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to wrestling. Have you got any questions you want to know? Or facts?
Yeah, so obviously we start off with how and why you got into wrestling. So remembering your early years in wrestling, so in your first couple of years, do you have any memories of that and any stories?
Oh, there's loads of stories.
How long we got?
Well, like I say, Colin Johnson, who was the original British Bulldog, he was a great heavyweight. And Jackie Robinson, who I knew from the amateurs, they went to a place called Wrighton Stadium in Bolton. And it was an old cinema, but the ring was always there. It was a wrestling venue. But we could have it Sunday mornings for training.
Right.
And I got introduced to the crowd. I got my badge on and, and introduced me and this guy, blah, blah, blah. He hoped to be on the programme. And that's where I had my first match. And I got into it. In the second match, I went with Jack Robinson to a place called Connors Quay in North Wales.
Right.
And one of the guys didn't turn up. You always take your gear with you. So before I knew it, I was on with a guy called Maurice Hunter. But I was very, very lucky. I came in the right way. I'd come through the amateur ranks, and because I knew Billy Robinson, they knew I was serious. I wasn't somebody who's taking it as a joke.
Yeah.
But in them days, there was some big, hard, and I mean hard men, street fighters, booth fighters.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the time I told his tale before. There was a guy called Abe Ginsberg who used to wrestle as the Black Diamonds.
Okay.
And he was a proper booze fighter. He used to wear a black skull cap when he walked in. And I remember putting a sharpshooter on. That's what we just call them leg locks in our day, but they call it sharpshooter. That's another thing about this day. Somebody will say, like, crossbody. We called it a crucifix. All the names have changed.
Yeah.
Double leg Nelson is a sunset flip.
Right.
All this lot. It's just what it is.
That's interesting.
With the times.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I put this sharpshooter on leg lock on with this kid, and he kicked out of it. I went back to the changing room, and this guy pulled me, excuse me, son, yeah? Well, to talk to these people, even in the same changing room as them.
Yeah.
The days had to, even the second that brought your gown in, had to knock on the door before you went in, not just bursting in and said, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
All the rules have changed. And he said, can I have a word? And I knew I'd done something wrong. I've sat in his chair or I've
Right.
I said, yes, sir. He said, call me Abe. I said, yes, sir. He said, no, my name's Abe, A-B-E, Abe Ginsberg. I said, I'm sorry, Abe, I've done, you know. Said, no worry. He said, but this is a warning. You get 3 warnings, as you know, you can get DQ'd. If I see you do that another 2 times, the 3rd time, I'll punch your fucking head off your shoulders.
Right.
And I just went, can you enlighten me? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He said, you put a leg lock on that kid, sharpshooter, and he kicked out. Right. It's the interval now. I'm going on in my match, and that's my finish.
Right, okay.
So if I put that on, that's it. It's over. Now watch me match. Now, every time Abe Ginsberg went to put the sharpshooter on, the guy escaped. But the crowd knew that it was his finish.
Yeah.
Nobody escaped from it. And I learned then what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, we call it an head mare. Now it's called a snap mare.
Yeah.
I think he was on with Vic Faulkner. And Vic lay down and Ginsberg went on the middle rope and he did what they call like a knee drop on his head.
Yeah.
And as he did it, he moved out of the way. And then Ginsberg got up quick, put the sharpshooter on. That was it, finished. Because that was his finish, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you.
And then the second time, I was on with a wrestler called Tony Charles, who was, these guys are famous wrestlers in the day. But to go on with somebody Tony Charles's caliber,
yeah,
it was unbelievable. And I wrestled him, and CueBall, I'll tell you now, he had me disappearing up my own ass and coming out the other end. I didn't even know where I'd been. Phenomenal wrestler. But in them days, he told a story.
Yeah.
Good guy, a bad guy, Cowboys and Indians, or a wrestling match.
Yeah.
You only had 5 matches, and every match was worthy of being top of the bill. But all that's coming back. Wrestling's like fashion. It is coming back that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And that's why, let's say 12 months, we've had no audiences there. What made me laugh, I speak to Johnny Moss quite a lot, who's one of the head trainers, as you know, at NXT UK. And we do talk about the business. And he says to me only this morning, is there anything that you regret? I said, yeah, I wish I could have had your job, NXT UK. He said, well, there's still time. Try and get, you know, I brought William Regal into the business. He might ask you to go down there.
Yeah.
But I know that I can't at the moment with this injury that I've got.
Well, if there's something in wrestling I've always said is never say never. Never
right.
Around the corner.
But I'm not one of these. I've never taken a steroid. I've not even had a Red Bull in my life. Because in my day, I've seen so many people take all that shit and they've ended up, they're not with us anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I don't need that. But I'll tell you what I did do, and it's still, and I'm glad you said I'm still 7 times world champion. The reason why it gets me a little bit, I was 7 times world champion. I lost it to Finley and I won it back again. We did business with the belts.
Yeah.
But when they took wrestling off television, I was still the champion.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, I've never lost that belt. But nowadays, I see the belts being thrown into the ring. If we did that in our day, we had to respect the belt.
I was going to say it's disrespectful.
We got sacked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would probably.
It's like, it's probably me being old age, but we used to have our nails checked. We used to have our boots checked. I watched that Rhea Ripley, hell of an athlete. I believe she's strong as an ox, right? Now that other guy, that priest that's on not NXT, whatever, UK, and I watch them all the gear. It's all covered in studs and chains and all that.
Yeah.
How the hell they're not ripping themselves to death?
Yeah.
All got things around the neck. It's like a ballerina going on with a pair of fucking clogs on. It just doesn't baffle me. But that's my view, old fashioned.
No, yeah, I do agree with you. I know what you're saying.
But Tails, we had road trips, and we used to have so many road trips and ribs and wind-ups, 24 hours a day. I remember many a time, if one of the lads fell asleep, the driver would pull in at a lay-by.
Yeah.
And you go, what's happening? If one sleeps, we all sleep. Hey, wake up. Why, what's up? One sleeps, we all sleep.
Yeah.
I could tell you it's endless. I'm going to write a book, me, with some of the ribs that we used to do. And, I had the fortune. It's funny enough, I just put a thing on Instagram. It's 19 years since Davey Boy Smith died today.
Yeah, I did see. I was about to say that.
And there's so many likes on it. Not likes, not likes. Acknowledgements. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But I knew them 2 kids when I used to pick them up and take them on the road. And they were built like that.
Yeah.
Matchstick men. And Vince McMahon got hold of them, told them to pump up a bit. And the rest was history with them. But they're not with us anymore. And it's so sad because it's still a young age, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Of course it was, yeah.
So I might not be here that long, but I might, they've told me I might be having my leg off. I understand that. But when you're doing all that and it gets to you, and I don't know, I'm just beyond belief sometimes. But like I say, I could go on. You see these people sometimes, a promoter, there's 15 matches on, 12 matches, 8 matches. Well, I can't understand me. We had 4 or 5 matches at iconic value. You mention a town to me. Any town.
Okay. So let's go. Gloucester. Well, it's a city, isn't it, actually? If you think of it. Cheltenham.
No, Gloucester Town Hall.
Yeah.
Iconic venue.
Yeah.
They were every month and every 6 months. They were every week.
Yeah.
Every fortnight. Liverpool Stadium, Manchester Bellevue, Royal Albert Hall, Cardiff, all them places. Mega, Leicester, De Montfort Hall, Stoke-on-Trent, Hanley, Wolverhampton. The list was endless. And they were packed. Yeah. So whatever they were doing, they did it right. On half the budget that they get now.
Yeah.
And that's why I say wrestling's like fashion. The miniskirts and the boob tops are coming back when it's summer.
Yeah.
Fashion, that comes back again. And wrestling will always be the same. I just hope this pandemic hasn't skinned a lot of people. And I hope the promoters don't get greedy and double the price of the tickets because they got to try and make some money back.
I know. Yeah. Hopefully that's not going to be the case.
And I hope these promoters don't just say get one top of the bill and they put some trainees on that don't look the part or can't do the job. That's my main worry.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched some wrestling the other. I'm not going to say who it was. Well, I am, yeah, I am because that's the way I am. I watched the Street Profits the other week.
Okay.
And there's no crowd there. Then they came down the ramp and they turned into this so-called make-believe crowd, the virtual crowd.
Yeah.
And they're clapping their hands. Then they get in the ring, and then they get on the car and saying, come on, come on, come on. How stupid does that look? There's no pissing crowd there. Do they think we're stupid? It's not so bad if they work to the cameras.
Yeah.
They didn't. And I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of them Americans that can't do our British style. Because they're used to their own flying around or whatever.
Yeah. I think there's too much flying around, personally.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's a time.
To have Steve Gray and Johnny Saint as a wrestling match. I used to go on with Pete Roberts a lot before Big Daddy and A-Stacks. People say to me, that Big Daddy and A-Stacks, they're a joke, them, aren't they? I just turn around and say, yeah, they sold Wembley out 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, they only do 5 minutes, so I'm not bothered. Big Daddy and Giant A-Stacks for the first Wembley show. It was the first time they had wrestling advertised on the red buses.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was sold out. And like I say, many a time, me and Rocco, me and Finley, we've done 12 5-minute rounds. 12 5-minute rounds, that's an hour.
Yeah.
CueBall, you go for a walk for an hour. Never mind throw somebody about.
Yeah.
You ask some of these kids to do 8 or 10 minutes now, they have a brain hemorrhage or a nosebleed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I still love the job. I'm still trying to pass my knowledge on. And like I say, I've just booked a few shows today and we'll just see how it goes. That's all you can do.
Yeah, definitely. You're passing your knowledge on. You obviously have a wide, lots and lots of knowledge in wrestling. You've been everywhere. England, Japan, Mexico, America, you have been everywhere. So you do have knowledge.
Yeah.
So I would like to know what it was like working with wrestling greats. Like you said, you've been up against Rollerball, Rocco, Finley. You was up against Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, and you teamed with Andre the Giant. Who was the most? Well, how do I say it? Who did you learn the most from, or was it a case of you learned from everybody?
Who did I learn a lot from? I learned a lot. Funny enough, when I was a kid, watching other wrestlers.
Yeah.
I was a lot smaller then. I was trying to break him out. I used to watch Johnny Saint a lot. Me and Johnny Saint are like brothers now. He lives in Real, but we always meet up. We've got the same mentality, And
yeah.
We have a laugh. But there used to be a wrestler called Alan Mike, and a lot of there's a French wrestler called Julien Maurice.
Okay.
And I was in Mexico with Ricky Starr.
Okay.
And people like that. And it was like Strictly Come Dancing to some of them. The way they moved and the moves that they did, it's fantastic. Yeah. And then you'd get a lot of these heavyweights that just by looking at them, you shit yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, there used to be a great wrestler called George Gordienko. He was this high and that wide.
Right.
Single strap leotard. And everybody. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Andre the Giant. And that guy suffered just to walk from A to B. But it was the most funniest guy I've ever met in my life. And all them rumours that he didn't drink this and didn't drink that. I believe he had 75 litres once in a 24-hour session with Murdoch and all them. Well, I've been there on several occasions when he's had 40 to... I was with him once when he had 53 litres of beer on one road trip. He still wrestled. It was in his contract, right, that on the bus, and them days, you didn't have Japanese wrestlers in the bus with you as well. It was just Europeans or Americans.
Right.
If you got caught talking to a Japanese wrestler over your match, you got sacked.
All right.
Yeah, you had to watch their match the night before.
Yeah.
And put their eye spots in. And that's where it came, where you used to kick and punch and all that all the time. And that's what their style was. But it was their national sport. That's how the Japanese like their sport. But Andre the Giant used to get on the bus and he had a plastic dustbin full of litres of beer. And he had some soda and pop for the boys, Coca-Cola, and big blocks of ice.
Yeah.
He'd have one in his changing room and one on the bus on the way home. And he used to take him 5 seconds to drink a litre. It was just, boom.
Gone.
That was it. Fucking gone. And I never saw him eat a meal. Never.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
But hell of a guy.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, CueBall, not being rude to you, what do you weigh? 16, 17?
Yeah, just under 16 stone I am, yeah.
At 45, 47 stone, right? He couldn't even wipe his ass sometimes, have a shower or a bath.
Yeah.
And his manager used to do it for him. I was with him many a time. Oh, there's a shower in there, like a swimming bath. We used to put the hose pipe on him so he could wash himself.
Yeah.
You think about it. It was embarrassing, but we helped him out. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
Same
I think
with
that's
A-Stacks and people like that. You know, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important, isn't it, to be able to, to help your colleague and all that.
Yeah. But when British wrestling used to have, like, a match to get them warmed up, and then a match to, like, just wrestle, then the main event, and then possibly a Les Kelly or a Cat Weasel to send them home happy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I never forget the time we used to wrestle at Bellevue. Because he said, oh, Mike, you're on at Bellevue, you can get some tickets. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, can you get us in? I'm sorry, I can't. I said, even my mum and dad have to pay to get in, which they did.
Yeah.
I used to sneak them in the back door. But they had to go and find a seat then that was empty. And there's never 2 seats together. Next thing is, it's like, I don't know. It's just something about the charisma of it being there when the music. I remember it was very emotional. It was like a team used to come down from Scotland: George Kidd, Ian Campbell, Chick Purvey, Clayton Thompson, all great wrestlers. But they would have the Manchester Scottish Pipe Band.
Right.
About 30 of them.
Nice.
And then when the curtain opened, bagpipes would start playing. Then you should let this band go out, and then the wrestlers used to come behind them. That's what entrances was all about. Nowadays, it's a hat like that, a lollipop, and a fucking string vest. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to admit, when Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair come out of that curtain, you see their magnificent gowns.
Yeah.
You know you've invested in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looks the part. Because this job's all about glitz and glamour.
Yeah, definitely.
And people do get hurt.
Yeah.
And when they do get hurt, they think, oh, the eye spot went wrong. This went wrong. No, I didn't. Or whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's always a mystery about the job. But when I went over to Canada, working with Bret Hart and Owen Hart and people like that, a lot of people don't know this, and I don't like bragging about it, but as I said, it's the day when there used to be Dynamite and the Bulldog. I went over there with Dynamite, and I was like the first original Bulldog with Dynamite.
Yeah.
And Stuart, Bret, and Owen and all the Hart family, I learned a hell of a lot from that.
Yeah.
But when Owen Hart came over here, I wrestled him. It was an hour and a half late, and we went straight on. And Ken Walton said, this is the best match I've ever commentated on it. And I hadn't even said hello to him, but we just went straight in and did it.
Yeah.
And there's not many people can do that these days.
Yeah.
Next question.
So it's all good. So obviously, I did a bit of research before you came on, and I noticed that you was 6 years undefeated as the British lightweight heavyweight champion. Now, that in itself, pretty impressive, right? So I just don't know. Because that to me, that's really impressive. So well done on that one. So how many people would you say you wrestled during that 6 year streak?
Well, the thing is, when we had the championship belts, they were there to be made for. What happens? A lot of people don't know this. You'll go to a promotion tomorrow, right? You're from down South Wales, aren't you?
Yeah, South Wales. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you from? Port Talbot. Where are you?
No, it's Newport.
Right, Newport. There's a show there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for the British or the Welsh Championship. Do you know it's not?
Yeah.
Do you know that the promoters put a belt on you? Or you've got a Vauxhall Viva badge with a piece of plastic on each side and wrap. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? In our day, they had 10 belts that was identically the same.
Right. Okay.
They all looked the same. It was like a lightweight, middleweight, heavy middleweight, heavyweight, tag. I think there was 6 or 8. I'm not quite sure. But I was in the fortunate position that I twigged this job pretty late. Not pretty late. I was a clean cut type of guy when I wrestled.
Okay.
And I used to use my amateur wrestling and the scientific wrestling on with people like Terry Rudge, Pete Roberts, Colin Johnson, Lee Bronson, and all these people that were like good wrestlers, but they never was like an household name.
Yeah.
And then a young crop came through like Danny Boy Collins and people like that.
Yeah.
So I was starting to become the senior figure.
Okay.
So when I was on with Danny Boy, I used to say, I'm the best from the Northwest.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd be in Bristol, which is his town. And then I'd come out to Tina Turner.
Nice.
You call me, you hear me, simply the best.
Cheap Heat.
And he used to get the crowd at it.
Yeah.
But with me, I could wrestle, but I was always known for putting the other guy, no matter who it is, if it's a bag of shit, I tried my best to have a good match out of it.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah.
And I was in a unique position. Sometimes the promoters will say, right, I want you to win. I don't want you to win. Or just you. He used to leave it with us, especially when I was on with Finley or Rocco.
Yeah.
Because if we felt that we could get another packed house out of it, why would I win?
Yeah.
He'd win. But it was a non-title match. So I did lose the belt a lot, but not as a title. Then we'd build it up. And a lot of people think, oh, he'll win next time. So they came to watch me win next time, but I lost again.
Yeah, yeah.
So they might come a third time and a fourth. And Rocco, he used to kick you in the head right out the blue. And you think, what's that for? Well, the thing is, you could kick him back in the head because he had no feeling.
Right.
Now, Finley was hard as nails, but he gave as good as he got.
Yeah.
And that's what the difference was. You could see, you know, you could see our work was solid enough.
Yeah.
Which you always needed. Even your Big Daddy and Haystack, sometimes when they clattered each other, they were like two rhinos, boom.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I've seen it when somebody's on the knees, they go to kick them, they slap their own leg. This guy's trying to get in it, so he moves his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the crowd have heard that.
Yeah.
And then to top it all, the guy that's on his knees goes and takes a bump and hasn't even been hit.
Yeah.
You might as well pack up and go home. That's what the difference is. And like I said, we did time. 8 5-minute rounds was a normal match. 20 half-hour tag matches. It's changed a bit, but it is coming back. But I was very fortunate. I had some great work. I mean, when I came out of that curtain, I looked like a gynecologist. Me, I didn't look like a wrestler. I've never lifted a weight in my life.
Right.
But stamina, if my legs were right now, I'll back anybody. Well, I haven't been in the ring for a while, but stamina, we could go on and on and on and on all day. That's the beauty about our business. I mean, we had our characters as well that nobody liked. And we used to give them a bit of an hard time. If we didn't think they was worthy of being in the business, they gave them an hard time.
Yeah, yeah.
There's that word that comes into it. And I'm not saying it's wrong at all.
Okay.
We had a lot of respect for the business.
Yeah.
But that television made it for us.
Yeah.
That was our shop window.
Mm.
And the day Pat Rope said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, we're off the screens, our job took a big dive. And it slowly worked his way up. Now, I'm hoping in a nice way that's what's going to happen with this pandemic and lockdown.
Yeah,
They've missed it. They've missed it so much, they might get back there.
Yeah.
I just hope all these so-called rules and regulations that are still in force are going to keep the job going. No.
Hopefully, all we can do is hope. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Crossed.
Yeah.
So, again, doing some research, I read that you had a bit of a feud back in 2000 with Kendo Nagasaki. Is that right? Is that correct? And it was to do with becoming wrestler of the Millennium. And I want to know what your thoughts were about that at the time.
Remind me, the Millennium in Wales, you mean?
No, it's so there was a feud between yourself and Kendo Nagasaki. This is what I've read. Not 100% sure if it's true. Yourself and Kendo Nagasaki in 2000, and you was upset because you didn't win the Wrestler of the Millennium award.
Well, no, I can't relate to what you're talking to be honest, but it was a well-known fact.
Okay.
And I don't want to dwell on the fact because it's a true story, and it ended up really being a bit bitter and a bit sour.
Okay.
And what happened was an incident that ended up with a court case. It wasn't.
Oh.
The court case wasn't with me.
Right.
It was something that happened when we ran off a TV set doing a documentary.
Okay.
And it ended up with Nagasaki accidentally knocking somebody over, and that somebody got hurt, and they tried to sue him. So I was called on by his solicitors to help him out. Now, it's a well-known fact that Kendo Nagasaki is one of the biggest names in the business.
Yeah.
He has the mask on, and 120% credit to him. He went everywhere with the mask on.
Yeah.
Yes, he did take it off now and again. Yes, his gimmick. He had a good following.
Yeah.
But there were certain things that I'd rather keep to myself that I didn't like about the guy.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
And that's all it was. I mean,
Okay.
he had his own dressing rooms, and you knocked on the door to say hello, and there'd be one of his so-called gang. Oh, you can't go in there. What do you mean I can't go in there? Well, Mr. Nagasaki's in there. I don't give a fuck if the Queen's in there. I want to go in there. I'll go in there.
Yeah.
And who are you? Have you bought a ticket? Because who was it? He was a nobody.
Right.
Well, I'm with Nagasaki. I said, I'm not bothered. You shouldn't be back. And that's how I used to be. And Nagasaki, I don't mind telling him to his face. He knows it. Nagasaki was a damn good wrestler, and his gimmick was good. And yes, he was a big name. He still is an household name.
Yeah.
But he was what we call like a first. In this job, you've got to be different.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, if somebody at giant A-Stacks size goes on top of the corner post and does a big somersault and lands on somebody, he'll be an instant millionaire.
Yeah.
Because it'll be different.
Yeah.
The wrestling, they've seen it all before. If you get stuck for something to do nowadays, stick your head out the ring and just ask them people on the front row what to do next. They'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've seen it so many times. But the only time you get heat now is by doing stuff that's make believe it. Bloody hell, that must have been hard. That must have hurt. But going back to Nagasaki, he had his views about me. He doesn't know this, but he was a good wrestler, amateur wrestler. And a friend of mine went to a wrestling school in Wigan, and I went, and he turned up. And then somebody said, right, and I hope he's listening. Somebody said to him, oh, I believe you know Marty Jones. Well, they knew me through the amateur wrestling. And then he tells them that I'm a strange person. Well, there's nobody stranger than that Nagasaki.
Right.
I've got very good friends and colleagues in the wrestling business. They even knock on the door to speak to him and say hello. I don't want to speak to him. The fella's a bit, and fair play to him. He's got his own ways. He does his own thing. What he does outside the ring in his social life, that's entirely up to him.
Yeah.
But if somebody says Kendo Nagasaki, yeah, great character, good for the business. And yes, I had some good matches with him. But he very, very rarely had single matches. He always had tag matches.
Yeah.
And he wasn't my style anyway. So,
yeah.
That's it. When people mention Nagasaki, he'll say next. That's it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's completely fine. So lastly, let's talk about Squared Circle Academy. That this is your academy. This is where you train superstars of the future and the present and in the past. So let's say I've never wrestled in my time. I've never been anything. I want to learn to wrestle, and I come across Squared Circle Academy.
Yeah.
What is the first thing you would say to me, and what would be the first things we would go through?
Well, we get it all the time because I'm proud to say we've moved premises. We've had a bit of bad luck. The first week we moved into this premises, the other place was good, but it was a floor ring.
Right.
And when you got the kids and new wrestlers, it was a bit too hard for them. Right. Now, we was learned on concrete floors with just coconut matting.
Yeah.
If you didn't land right, you'd get hurt. That's the way we were brought up. Nowadays, you want a Doll Mayo bleeding king-size bed there. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I had an opportunity to go to this place. It's 1,750 square feet, this new place.
Nice.
And it's run by the council.
Okay.
And it's for these kids that trouble at school. And there's a guy there, and he runs a box. He used to be an ex-boxer, and he runs boxing classes, and all the PTs go there. Anyway, I put a ring in there, and then the pandemic started. So we had all these. So really, last week was our only first week back.
Yeah.
But I was very fortunate that because the council owned it, I could train elite athletes.
Yeah.
But kept it quiet. But I classed an elite athlete that somebody was getting paid. It was a job. But we could never have more than 8 people and 4 trainers. So there was 1 or 2 that took the benefit from it.
Yeah.
But as I said at the start of the tale, where the gym is in a place called Hollingwood. Not Hollywood, Hollingwood. In Oldham. Right. Which is only 3/4 of a mile from where Johnny Saint and me lived and went to school and went to Billy Robinson's gym.
Oh, right, okay.
So the idea is now I've just signed some halls up today. And what I want to do is go in the schools all around that area and tell them that professional wrestling is coming back home.
Right. Okay. Good.
I'm going to do a news write-up with Johnny Saint, myself, Jackie Robinson, a lad called Nipper Eddie Riley. Yeah. We're all from the area.
Yeah.
So the wrestling school now, we have some people. Now, I don't mean this in a nasty way whatsoever. So let's make that clear straight away. I'm not bothered whether you're black, white, yellow, iron, green, Welsh, red, or whatever. That's always been. We're a human being, and that's it.
Yeah.
I have my opinions, and this, that, and the other. So when they walk through the door, and then we deal with people that possibly got learning difficulties.
Yeah.
Because they see wrestling as a bit of a joke.
Right.
We've got a couple of people who've got autism.
Yeah.
Who, when they come out of their school, they lock themselves in the room. They'd never speak to a girl.
Yeah.
never mind go and wrestle with them. And wrestling fetches them out on them.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know he won't mind me saying this, but I've got a young lad there called Thomas. He's better than 90% of the others. He's like a little beanpole.
Yeah.
But he's on with all the guys, and it's just a pleasure to see him get smashed up. And then when he makes his comeback, you can only feel emotional for him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so what I do, I learn them how to take bumps. Dead easy.
Yeah.
Show them how to roll up. And when they can take bumps, I mean, I've had people think, oh, I'm 7'6" or 6'7", this guy was from Bradford. He turned up like a bag of shit. I've done this, I've done that. I've done MMA, I've done this, I've done that. We did 10 minutes of training and he was being sick in the toilet.
Yeah.
And then he goes on Facebook and says, I travelled 50 miles just to do some cardio.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've got it that I can do that. I can do a promo. I can do this. I can do that. But the good thing at my academy is we have a bit of fun. I never show them any somersaults or any. When you get confident of taking a bump, all that will come.
Yeah.
I'm showing them stuff that's different, basic, and the stuff that I was shown.
Yeah.
And we treat everybody the same. We do have a little group who've not been before, and we say, right, you go in that ring over there. And it always baffles me because a lot of people know that I brought Regal into the business, and a lot of people know that I've got contacts and I can recommend somebody. It's not what I say. I can recommend if I think he's a good talent. I've got people, I mean, you interviewed one of my girls, didn't you, last week? Kiara.
No, that wasn't me. No.
No, was it not? I forget who it was. Anyway, the thing was, she travels all the way up from Leicester.
Yeah.
I've got another girl who travels all the way up from Coventry. I've got people that travel up from Birmingham. And the only way I can pay them back is when I do these little trainee shows.
Yeah.
I like the ones that come to my gym twice and all of a sudden they're ringing Regal up and say, I've been training with Marty Jones. Can I have a tryout, please?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Colin Johnson, bless him, he's had his leg off. He turns up, he sits there and he says what he has to say, Johnny's saying. And it's, you know, because it's my gym, it's just a fact. I pay rent for the place.
Yeah.
But they don't bother me and they just lock up when I go home and that's it. So now it's telling times for us where the people. Now, the daft thing is we've got no wrestlers from Oldham at the moment.
Right.
They're all out of towners from Leeds or Yorkshire or down south.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's something I enjoy doing. And plus the recent convalescing that I'm doing. When you look at these four walls, it's nice to get out and have an excuse to get out, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And it's lads like you that can get our views across. I'm always interested to know what the figures are.
Yeah.
And then you'll get somebody on the internet saying, oh, that Marty Jones listened to his podcast with that CueBall. What a load of bollocks that was.
Because that's
then you'll get about 500 saying, yeah, well, they just go on that Twitter for argument's sake for people to agree or disagree because they don't know what they're talking half the time.
Yeah, and people like that do not appreciate like the time and effort that, you know, about what you've done, speaking about you.
You know what I mean? When I see a guy called CueBall, bearded this and bearded that, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to be a tosser. He'll be a waste of time. Because in the old days, they didn't know what podcasts were. I don't know. If you hadn't sent me that link through for Zoom, I wouldn't even know what Zoom was.
Right.
But it gets a point across. If they want to listen to it, they can listen to it. If they want to turn it off, they turn it off. Yeah. But I did a podcast the other week, and it's been voted in the short time the third highest within a week people listen to.
Yeah.
It's only the basic same stuff I've just told you.
Yeah.
But it's it's like whatever's on telly. If you want to watch Coronation Street, watch it. If you don't like it, don't knock it. Just turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
But if anybody wants to learn to wrestle, all they've got to do, I do say to them, have you done any sports? And 9 times out of 10, you can tell straight away.
Yeah.
Have you done any shows? Yeah, I've done 1 or 2. Right, we'll get in the ring, and you know, as soon as you get into that ring, do you know what CueBall is an art?
Yeah, definitely.
No, but do you know what is an art?
I'd say wrestling.
Watching them trying to get into a ring.
Yeah.
You can't just get in a ring.
Wipe your feet.
Wipe your feet, exactly. That's a mark of respect. But
Yeah.
do you put that leg over first, or do you put your head through? It's comical seeing some of them. You can't even get in.
Yeah.
Because they've never done it before. And you should never cross your legs in the ring. Move around, the first thing you do. And another thing, take an arm. They all take an arm the same way. Because the trainers showed them bad habits.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best. Well, in my head, I think I'm the best trainer. A lot of people give me compliments. A lot of people come. And I'm getting results. I mean, it speaks for itself. We've got Saxon Huxley's one of my guys. Sam Gradwell's one of my guys. As you know, William Regal. As you know, that Aife. She's an Irish lass, but when she comes over, she trains with me.
Yeah.
The French girl. And that's what happens. And it's heartwarming for me to see these people. I haven't told them. They've wrote in and they've gone, oh, yeah. And that Nigel McGuinness, he's mentioned me loads of times on TV.
Yeah.
I've never been paid for out like that or whatever, but it's good. You know, if you want to learn to wrestle, come down to our gym.
Yeah.
But Regal always goes on, if you want to be told the truth and how it's done, go down to his gym. So hopefully when we do our press release, and hopefully once we get, because a lot of people are still worried about travelling, you know that, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I just enjoy it getting at. And people are saying this, that. I mean, I'm getting more stick. I don't mind saying this because there's a few around your area down that South Wales. They've never wrestled their way out of a paper bag, and all of a sudden they start slagging you off.
Yeah.
For what? For what? What have I done to them? Because they've been brainwashed with somebody else. Just jealousy. Jealousy, jealousy. Right? I just don't get it. We should all be colleagues, whether you're good, bad, or whatever. Help each other out. But going back to your question, if you came to my gym, I'd say, well, you look the part, right? And that baffles me. When I'm right or wrong, CueBall, they'll say, what character do you want me to play? And I turn around and say, I want you to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want me to be a goodie or a baddie?
That doesn't matter.
I said, go in and wrestle. If the crowd don't like you, be a baddie if you want. But you can't do it without the other fella. And the referees, in my opinion, want to be more strict. We should have more count-outs. We should have more knockouts. And the biggest thing of all, I have them on my shows, is public warnings.
Yeah.
If me and you are on together and you do something to me, and the referee gives you a public warning, they don't really say anything. But if you do it again, I go on the mic and say, right, CueBall, that's your second and final public warning. One more and you're out, out, out. And all kids are going, out, out,
Yeah.
out. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ted DiBiase told me a good tale once. I watched his seminar. He turned up an hour late, so I warmed him up for him. I'd never met the guy before. I think that was down your neck of the woods somewhere. Let's say Wolverhampton or whatever. And he was late. And he come in with a cup of coffee. I apologise for being late, guys, and this, that, and he talked about himself for an hour and a half.
Right.
But what he was talking about was good psychology of the business.
Yeah.
And then he said to this person, name me a film. Now, to be fair, I used to run a public house and I had no time to watch movies. I can't watch television unless it's a real life murder thing,
Right.
investigation, or it's a true story like the Crookshank Redemption or the 633 Squadron or the Great Escape. The only film I've seen 3 times was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's right on my street, that. I loved it.
Yeah.
Right? But this Harry Potter and Star Wars and all that, I just don't get it. Doctor Who's and Mad Max, that's just me. It's not reality to me.
Yeah, okay.
You know, at one time, cowboy, this is my age though, it used to be cowboys and Indians on horses.
Yeah.
Now the sheriff comes in with, they're all running riot on horses, bareback, the Indians, and the sheriff comes with a big Cadillac with bullhorns on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's just the way it is. But Ted DiBiase said, have you got any children? And she said, yeah. Or what's their favourite cartoon? Or what's the favourite, like the last film you went to see at the cinema? And she went, oh, Dumbo. Did your kids enjoy it? Said they loved it. Well, do your kids know that that elephant can't talk? Does your kids know that that elephant couldn't fly?
Mm.
Do they know that Flipper can't talk? And she went, no. You know why? They're not bothered.
Yeah.
They got entertained.
Yeah.
And that's what wrestling is. You pay your money, you get entertained, and you'll go back again.
Definitely. 100% right.
I used to get my dodgy DVDs off the Chinese woman that used to come in the pub. You can get anything from, you know, even wrestling films. You get anything you want, they had them. All the dodgy pirated one, even porn films, anything you want, she had for a couple of quid. And if it wouldn't work right, you go, hey, come here. You know that film you gave me last week? I said, yeah, it didn't work right. Oh, I'll have another one. Even though you'd watched it 10 times, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's how it used to be. But cinemas now, I'd hate to think how much it is to take a family.
I don't want to know either. I know it's expensive.
So by the time you've had the popcorn and the ice cream, is it value for money?
No, it really isn't.
Well, wrestling is exactly the same. And the good thing is, them that support this NXT and that, the ticket, if wrestling was on next week in Blackpool, NXT, it's sold out in hours. Hours.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of the 10, they don't even know what the program is.
Yeah.
So they must be doing something right.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm going to say this now because we'll finish off.
Yep.
You know, if people believe what I say, fair enough. They don't. That's their opinion. If people like me, fine. If they don't, you know, I've been told a few times, my God fucking rules. So I say things as it is.
Hmm.
That's the way I was taught.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's done me no harm in the past. But as far as wrestling is concerned, nobody can protect this business more than me.
Yeah.
But there's another side, another element that's crept into it. There's people like you that haven't come on and tried slating it off.
Yeah.
By saying, oh, who's that wrestler who grabs all of them by the bollocks and they whip them all over? And who's that fellow who puts a fish down his trunks? And why does he do this? And why does he do that? I mean, I saw something on Facebook the other day, and I don't mind. Somebody called Gonzalez. I think he's supposed to be a really good wrestler. I don't know him personally, but there's a guy with a mask on. He's outside the ring, and the referee's going, there's about 10 people in. And he's going, 5. 3 seconds later, 6. 4 seconds later, 7. This wrestler's lay on the floor. This guy gets a can of petrol or fluid, pours it all around his bollocks.
No.
Oh. Lighter and lights it.
Oh, yeah. I know what video you're talking about. Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah. To me, I don't see the point in that. That is not entertainment. That is stupidity. But that's my opinion.
But it's not only that. They could close the hall down.
Yeah. There's so many things.
Health and safety, fire. So that guy's probably got a pair of trunks on made out of asbestos.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it at all.
No, never have myself either.
And it's not so bad if you say it's a death match. where, you know, I mean, when we used to go as far as we could go with our feuds.
Yeah.
And it used to come up on telly. And I don't know why it was always me. But I was the first in this country to do a cage match. I was the first in this country to do like a chain match.
Yeah.
Because the heat was there between me and Rocco. And I remember going on with Danny Collins. See if I get it any bigger. I'll show you in a minute.
Okay.
You see this here? Can you see me?
Up to you, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you can see this here. But underneath my armpit, I'll just show you.
Right.
You can just about see that there.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, yeah.
But that goes right underneath my armpit, that.
Right.
I was 1 millimetre away from my main artery.
Oh, jeez.
And all that happened was we had a cage, they'd seen a cage match on TV, and the promoter, Mr. Dixon, said, I've come up with this great idea. There's that much heat with you and Danny Boy Collins at Croydon. It's a good house. Did you see the cage match that the Yanks did on TV? I went, I fucking told you. Here we go. So what they got, have you ever seen in the old days, at the side of the motorway, they used to have that mesh fencing that used to go in a breeze block?
Yeah.
Well, you got that round the ring. And they did it at Bristol.
Yeah.
But the difference was, because they didn't have a door on it, they put a ladder up one side and ladder down the one, and it was the first one to get over.
Yeah.
Won the match. Anyway, we did it at Bristol. And it went very, very well. The next night, I'm supposed to be on with some foreigner. And Brian Dixon said, at Croydon this. He said, I've switched the bill about. I've put you on with Danny Collins again, who was a great young grafter. He was a good lad, Danny.
Yeah.
I want you to do that cage match again. It was fantastic.
Nice. Very nice.
All right, then. So we didn't even look at the ring. We just thought it was the same as the night before.
Yeah.
Well, it was the same cage, but instead of it being a 16-foot square ring, it was an 18-foot square ring.
Right.
So we lost 2 foot all the way around.
Yeah.
You see my point?
Yeah, yeah.
And they got a different cage.
Yeah.
And this one, right, had spikes on the top.
Yeah.
Instead of like a round bar like the one the night before. And I didn't know. I went in and got the heat. Give me the mic. I told you, I'm the best from the Northwest. And before he even got in the ring, some unknown reason, the crowd went potty. And then Danny Boy drop kicked me in the back. And just with reaction, I jumped off and impaled myself on the spike.
Oh, Jesus.
And my feet was just touching the floor.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work at the meat market. And if you've ever cut yourself on your thigh or there, it just opens up like mincemeat.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bleed for a couple of seconds. And then it bled. And I couldn't see. And I said to the ring the fucking bell. Just ring the bell as though the match is starting.
Yeah.
And the front row, it's ketchup. It's ketchup.
Ketchup.
I'm stood there losing this blood. And I climbed under the bottom rope and I said to Danny Collins. He went, oh, no. Felt sick. I said, take an arm submission quick. So he stepped over my arm. He's like that. And I went, yes. And I'll never forget it. You can ask Sweet Saraya, you know, Julie Amer, Ricky Knight's wife.
Yeah.
She ran down, bless her, and she got a towel and tied it round my arm and got me on the timekeeper's table. I had 239 stitches in my arm.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And they took me to an hospital, it's called Mayfair, that used to be named after that Douglas Bader, the air pilot,
right,
in London. And he said, I was 1 millimetre away from my main artery in my arm.
Crazy.
And then you got some stupid bastard saying it's ketchup.
Ketchup.
You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, man. Very Crazy. Bloody ketchup. So, Marty, that is my questions done. And that is going to conclude today's CueBall's Bearded Rambles. Marty, thank you very much for coming on, sir. It's been an absolute pleasure to listen to your story. Is there anything else you'd like to say, shout anything out?
Yeah,
anything?
I mean, I've spread a few tales there, and I'd like people to listen to it, because it's people like you that deserve. You've did your research, like you say. You've asked me some questions that a lot of people ask. You didn't go on too much about me bringing Regal into the business and stuff like that, which is nice, because the lad deserved it. It's only that I saw him being wasted a little bit, and he was going to go to America. If he'd had to walk there, he was going there. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
But that is another time we can talk about him, and we can talk about Rocco. And I'm just pleased that I'm here at the moment to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of my colleagues and that who are passing away, and it's just life, really. And we've just gone through one of the hardest times. I just really hope that, forget this Black Lives Matter and all this speaking out movement and all that. If you like the person, get along with them, spread a bit of happiness, say hello, give them a ring. Because if you take it from me, loneliness is a killer. When you live on your own, or you've been in that hospital, and then all of a sudden the surgeon looks at you and he's got your leg on his shoulder. You think your leg's coming off and he's just going to throw it over there.
Yeah.
Because that's what it felt like to me. And I'm struggling now. And I'm doing what I like doing. My biggest problem at the moment, I'm being too nice to everybody.
Right, okay.
I'm trying to be nice to everybody. Especially like, let's say, some young girls or some women who are very, very close friends to me.
Yeah.
It's not like in the days when I was a kid. But it's learnt me, being in the hospital, it's nice to talk to people. How people can go on and start slagging people off, and they don't actually know them.
There's just no need for it. There really isn't.
That Twitter, I don't want to name him because he'll give you a load of shit then for why did you ask him to go on? Is this, that, and the other? But I'm one of these, me. Either put up or shut up or give it a try. But try and be nice to everybody. Because take it from me, when you're on a dementia ward and you're having your dinner and somebody's shitting and pissing over there and the nurses are trying to mop it all up, these young kids, and they only got a 1% pay rise.
Yeah, insult.
It gets home to you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wrestling, as far as I can remember, the women used to go and let a bit of steam off, sit on the front row. They used to clatter the wrestling. They used to give them verbals. The guys used to go to the pubs and then meet up with them after, or go to the football. It was a family entertainment. It's always been a family entertainment. And if I can spread a few tales with people like yourself, instead of having a disagreement, it's not a problem. So like I say, in a few months' time, give us another call. How's the gym going? How are you doing?
Yeah.
What did you think about this? Now, I like it sometimes where we do a session where people can do a questions and answers.
Yeah.
Because it's quite comical.
Yeah.
But if somebody says anything wrong, you say, well, can you give me your name and address? Or would you like to come up to the gym and try yourself? They know where to be seen.
Yeah. Quick to do that. Keyboard
yeah,
warriors.
well, that's their opinion because you've got a sad life.
Yeah.
I've had more stick, and I don't mind you saying it, since I've come out of the business by doing these podcasts and these other people are doing nothing. I've had one or two people in the business that have been my friends and colleagues for many years slagging you off. And I'm thinking, have they had too many bumps on the head?
So, again, like I said, that concludes today's CueBall's Bearded Rambles. This has been the 7-time world professional wrestling champion, Marty Jones. Thank you very much for coming on, sir. It's been a pleasure. And I have been the beer drinking, heavy metal listening, bald-headed brawling CueBall. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay positive. #, yeah.